The sea breeze moved softly through the open windows. It was evening. The sun sinking into the horizon, the sky burning gold and purple. The waves rose and fell like an old melody whispering to the shore. By the window sat an old woman, Elaine, silver hair, tired eyes, a cup of tea untouched in her trembling hands. Behind her, in the doorway, stood Sarah, her daughter. Her face was pale, eyes heavy with a kind of sadness, the kind of sadness that comes before a confession. Bibre, mom, she said softly, voice cracking. Elaine turned, smiled faintly. A smile that carried more silence than warmth. We're leaving tomorrow, Mom, Sarah whispered, forcing the words out. I've sold your beach house. The room went still, only the sound of the ocean filled the space. Elaine placed her cup down, her hands shaking slightly. You sold it? She repeated, slowly, almost to herself. Sarah nodded, tears glistening. I had to, Mom, for the bills, for your treatment. I didn't have a choice. Ibrahim, Elaine looked toward the window again, her gaze distant, lost somewhere in the rolling waves. The orange sunlight painted her face, and for a moment she looked younger, like the woman she once was. This house, she murmured, your father built it with his hands, every board, every wall. He dreamed of filling it with laughter. You took your first steps here. We celebrated birthdays, storms, summers, everything. Sarah's lips trembled. I know, Mom. Looked at her, eyes shining, a single tear falling down her cheek. Houses aren't made of bricks, sweetheart. They're made of moments. This wind, these waves, this silence, they're all part of me. You can take me away from here, but the memories, they stay. The camera drifts slowly toward the window. The sea roaring louder now. The sky fades into twilight, the house glowing in the dying light. Fade out. Sarah's eyes glisten with the reflection of the sea, but inside her, a storm has begun. Morning light spilled softly through the curtains. The house, half empty now, felt strangely hollow, like it already knew it was about to be left behind. Boxes were stacked near the door, movers outside talking faintly. Sarah stood in her mother's room, folding the last of the clothes when a framed photograph slipped from her hand and shattered on the floor. Ibrahim, she sighed, knelt down to pick up the pieces, and froze. Behind the cracked glass, taped to the back of the frame, was a small Russ. Her brows furrowed. What's this doing here? She murmured. For a moment she just stared, then as if pulled by instinct, she looked toward the old wooden floor. The same spot her mother's rocking chair had always stood. One plank near the corner was slightly raised, the wood worn from years of use. Sarah hesitated, then slid her fingers under it. The board lifted with a quiet creak. Beneath it, covered in dust and time, was a small tin box. Her heart began to race. She opened it carefully. Inside lay a folded letter, yellowed with age, and a bundle of papers tied with a faded blue ribbon. The letter was addressed in her mother's handwriting. My doma Sarah, to be opened, waves take me. Her hands shook as she opened it. The words blurred through her tears. My love, there are things I never told you. This house is not just a home, it's your father's promise. He built it with love but also with fear. Fear that one day I'd be alone. He put it undi. Your name in trust, so that no one could ever sell it, not even you. If you are reading this, I know life must have cornered you the way it once cornered me. But remember, Sarah. This house isn't a burden, it's your roots. Sarah's breath caught. She flipped through the papers. A deed, dated decades ago, naming her as the legal heir. Her knees went weak. Behind her, a voice whispered, trembling but familiar. I was hoping you'd find it before you left. Sarah turned. Elaine was standing in the doorway, frail but smiling through tears. She stepped closer, resting a hand on her daughter's cheek. Now you know, she said softly, some things are never meant to be sold, only remembered. Ibrahim broke down, clutching her mother tightly as the sound of the sea rose again, waves crashing, as if the ocean itself was breathing with them. Fade out, the tin box on the floor, the letter fluttering in the sea breeze. Months had passed, the seasons had changed, but the sea remained the S. Ame, restless, deep, and sometimes heartbreakingly quiet. Outside the old beach house, a new sign now hung, Hibrashi, the memory house, for those who remember. The door was still the same, though freshly painted. Inside, the air carried a mix of coffee, old books and salty wind. Photos lined the walls. A young couple, a little girl, and that same gentle woman, Elaine. Sarah lived there now. She never sold the house. She had realized it wasn't just her home. It belonged to all who needed a place to feel, to remember. Every evening, she sat by the window where her mother once sat. A cup of tea in her hands, eyes on the horizon. Sometimes a traveler would stop by, a stranger with a quiet sadness in their eyes. Sarah would smile softly and say, "This house gives peace. Sit for a while and listen to the waves." And when the wind blew through the room, she could almost hear her mother's voice whisper, "Some things aren't meant to be sold, only remembered." Waldruch Sarah would look toward the sea, the sunlight melting into gold over the water. It was a moment she knew her mother hadn't really left. She was there, in the sea, in the breeze, in every wall that still remembered her laughter. The camera slowly drifts back, light spilling out of the windows, waves crashing in the distance, and somewhere between the wind and the sea, a voice seems to echo. Love never ends, it just changes its place.